August 1920. Boston. A blistering summer morning on School Street, and the crowd will not go home. Thousands of them. Clerks and widows, policemen and priests, pressed shoulder to shoulder outside one small office, waving little paper receipts. They are all shouting the same word: money. They want it now. A rumor has torn through the city overnight. The miracle is over. That's is Umit. The man inside cannot pay. So they have come to rip their savings back out of his hand. And the man they came for steps out to meet them. Slicked hair, a crisp straw boater, a cane in one hand. He is barely 5'2", and he is smiling. Do not worry, he tells them. There is more than enough for everyone. Then he sends out for coffee and donuts and hands them around to the very people trying to break down his door. And then he does the impossible. He pays them in cash, $2 million in 3 days. Anyone who wants out, gets out in full. And the panic melts into applause. Grown men cheer him in the street. They call him a wizard, a magician, the greatest thing to hit Boston since the Pilgrims. The man on the steps has beaten the mob with a smile and a bucket of coffee. There is just one problem. He has no money. Every dollar he hands back belongs to someone standing further down the line. He is a swindler, running the most famous con in history, and he is about to give it his name. This is the story of Charles Ponzi. To understand that morning on School Street, you have to rewind 17 years to a different man on a different dock. November 1903. A steamship called the Vancouver eases into Boston Harbor after a long gray crossing from Italy. Down the gangplank comes a young man from the little town of Lugo in northern Italy. His full, magnificent name is Carlo Pietro Giovanni Guglielmo Tebaldo Ponzi. He is 21, in a sharp suit and an easy grin, and he has exactly $2.50 to his name. He had boarded the ship with 200 and gambled the rest away, somewhere out on the Atlantic. Years later, he would tell reporters the line with a wink. I landed in this country with $2.50 and $1 million in hopes. And those hopes, he said, never left me. But hope does not pay the rent. And for the next 14 years, hope is nearly all Charles Ponzi has. He drifts. He waits tables and is fired for skimming the till. He washes dishes. He paints signs. He runs errands. He moves from city to city up the American East Coast, always broke, always hunting for the one clever angle that will finally lift him up. In 1907, the angle looks like Montreal. He takes a clerk's job at a bank called Banco Zarossi, a bank that serves Italian immigrants and pays them a dazzling 6% interest. Young Ponzi watches how it works, and he learns a lesson he will never forget. The bank is not paying that interest out of profit. It is paying its old depositors with the deposits of the new ones. It is a trick, and it is quietly going broke. Soon the bank collapses, and its owner flees to Mexico with the cash. Ponzi is stranded, penniless. So he walks into the empty office of a bank customer, finds a company checkbook lying there, and forges a check. $423.58. He signs it, he cashes it, and he is caught almost at once. It is his first real crime. and it earns him 3 years in a Canadian prison. To spare his mother back in Italy, he writes to her that he has landed a perception, as with now a 19 investion, alert his that he has a fine position now, as an assistant to the warden. It is a lie. He is inmate number 6660. He gets out, and within months, he is behind bars again. This time for smuggling Italian immigrants across the border into the United States. That is another 2 years in a federal prison down in Atlanta, Georgia. So by his mid-30s, this is the sum of Charles Ponzi's life. He has crossed an ocean, he has chased a dozen schemes, and he has almost nothing to show for it. Low cost a third of your money, that he is 2009 in Wissen. And he has almost nothing to show for it, to us, but 2 prison terms, a sharp mind, and a certainty that the honest road leads nowhere. Then, in 1917, back in Boston, 2 things finally go right. He meets a young woman named Rose Gnecco and marries her. And he settles into honest work, running a small trading office, hunting always for one legitimate idea big enough to match his ambition. And in the summer of 1919, the idea lands on his desk. In an envelope. From Spain, a business letter. And tucked inside it, a small, dull slip of paper that most people would never look at twice. It is called an international reply coupon. It is a harmless little thing, invented so that a person in one country could prepay the return postage for someone in another. You buy the coupon here, your friend abroad swaps it for stamps there. That is all it was ever designed to do. But Ponzi looks at that coupon and sees a crack running through the entire world. The Great War has just ended, and Europe's money is shattered. In Italy, in Spain, the currencies have collapsed. But the price of these coupons is still fixed at the old pre-war rate. Do you see it? A coupon bought for pennies in wrecked, war-torn Rome could be carried to Boston and swapped for American stamps worth many times more. Buy cheap in a ruined country. Redeem dear in a rich one. Pocket the difference. And it even had a respectable name. Arbitrage. The same maneuver that banks and traders use, legally, every single day. This wasn't theft. This was a loophole. A beautiful, legal loophole in the international postal system. And Ponzi was certain he had found it first. On paper, the numbers were dizzying. He calculated that after every cost, he could still clear a profit of 400%. 400%. All he needed was other people's money to buy the coupons at a grand enough scale. And so, a company is born. In the last days of 1919, he gives his idea an important, official-sounding name, the Securities Exchange Company, and opens a modest office at number 27 School Street, in the very heart of Boston's financial district. And in January of 1920, he starts making the public an offer. "Lend me your money," he says, "and in 90 days, I will hand it back to you, plus 50%. 50% profit in 3 short months. Then, because he is Ponzi, he makes it even better. 50% in just 45 days, or double your money in 90. Remember the world he is speaking to. A good savings bank, back then, paid around 5% in a whole year. And Ponzi is promising 50% in 6 weeks. 10 times the bank's yearly rate in a fraction of the time. It sounded impossible. It sounded far too good to be true. And so, at first, almost nobody came. The first few investors were nervous men, And they risked only a little. They handed over small sums and then waited, counting the days to see if this strange little Italian would really pay. And on the 45th day, he did. Every cent came back, plus 50%. On time, in cash, with a handshake and a smile. And those first investors did what human beings have always done since the beginning of time. They ran and told everyone they knew. And this is where the whole story catches fire. Because when the neighbors saw ordinary people, a barber, a fruit seller, a widow, walk out 50% richer in 6 weeks, their fear curdled into something hotter: greed. If it worked for them, why not for me? Word raced through Boston's Italian North End and then leapt out across the entire city. The trickle became a stream. The stream became a flood. In May of 1920, some 1,500 people brought Ponzi around $440,000. In June, nearly 8,000 people handed him $2.5 million more. The cash came in faster than his clerks could count it. They crammed the bills into drawers, closets, waste paper baskets, because there was nowhere else to put it. By July, Charles Ponzi was taking in as much as $1 million in a single day. Policemen invested. City officials invested. People mortgaged their homes, cashed in their life insurance, and pressed the money into his hands, begging him to take it, because he had tapped a vein far deeper than greed. He was selling them hope, the very same hope he had carried up that gangplank in 1903. Only now, it came with a guarantee. 50%. And the whole city was drunk on it. And Ponzi played his part to the hilt. He bought a mansion in the suburbs with a heated pool and air conditioning, an unheard of luxury for the day. He bought fine suits by the dozen, gold-topped canes, a diamond pin for every tie. He bought a controlling share of the very bank that had once refused him a loan. The penniless immigrant, the twice-jailed forger, was now, on paper, one of the wealthiest men in New England. It was a fairy tale. And it was about to end. Because underneath it all lay one small fatal fact. Ponzi was not buying the coupons. Almost none of them. Because the very moment he had tried, at any real scale, he had slammed straight into a wall of pure arithmetic. To honestly back the money he had taken in, Ponzi would have needed around 160 million of those little postal coupons circulating all over the planet. The actual number in existence in the entire world was about 27,000. The loophole was real, but it was the size of a keyhole, and he had promised the world a golden door. The arbitrage could never ever scale. It never had. So where then was all that 50% actually coming from? From the only place it could. From the next person in the queue. Ponzi was paying his early investors with the cash of his newest ones. Nothing was invested. Nothing was earned. The money simply moved. New pockets to old ones, and a fat slice stayed behind with him. It is the simplest fraud in the world, and the most seductive. As long as more money flows in than flows out, it works. It looks like genius. It feels like magic. But it is a machine that can never slow down. Because the day the new money falters is the day it dies. And for a few glorious months, the machine roared. By the summer of 1920, Ponzi was a folk hero. Crowds trailed him down the sidewalk just to touch his sleeve. He spoke of branches in every city, of buying banks and steamship lines, of building a whole new empire. He was, for one shining moment, the American dream made flesh. And then, on the 24th of July, the Boston Post put him on its front page. At first, it was wonderful. The article gushed, splashing his fabulous returns across the whole city, and it sent even bigger crowds stampeding to School Street. But that same front page caught other eyes, too. Careful eyes. People who could do arithmetic and did not like what the numbers were telling them. Chief among them was a sharp, portly, deeply skeptical financial writer named Clarence Barron, the analyst behind the Wall Street Journal and the paper that still carries his name. Barron looked at Ponzi's dazzling promises and asked one simple, deadly question. If this man truly earns 50% every 45 days, if this man can truly 80% invest and they 2% fracul excessum in accountally never tiredly, then why is he keeping his own millions in ordinary bank accounts, earning a feeble 5% a year? Why isn't he pouring every cent back into his own miraculous coupons? And then Barron did the sum, the same brutal sum. 160 million coupons needed to make it real, against 27,000 in all the world. The Post printed every word, and the doubt spread like a crack racing across glass. The city's district attorney summoned Ponzi in. And Ponzi, ever the showman, ever the gambler, offered a breathtaking bluff. He would voluntarily stop taking new money and throw open his books to a government auditor to prove, once and for all, that he was honest. It was pure theater. He had no fortune for any auditor to find, but the gesture bought him time, and it made him look brave. There was only one problem. By slamming the doors on new money, he had triggered the one thing that could kill him instantly, the run. On the morning of the 26th of July, the doubt boiled over into raw panic, and the crowds came flooding back to School Street, not to invest this time, but to escape, to pull every dollar out before all the others could. And this is exactly where our story began. The straw hat, the cane, the coffee and the donuts, the $2 million paid out in 3 unbelievable days to every single soul who asked. It was the greatest performance of his entire life, and it worked for a while. By paying everyone out so calmly, Ponzi half convinced the crowd the newspapers were the real liars. Some who came to withdraw their money turned right around and reinvested it. He was bailing a sinking ship with a teaspoon and getting the passengers to cheer. But the water kept rising, and the Boston Post would not let go. Reporters dug back through his past, and they unearthed the one thing he had buried deepest of all: a mugshot, a criminal record, the Montreal forgery, the Canadian prison cell. On the 11th of August, they ran it across the front page. The great financier, the wizard of School Street, was a convicted forger and an ex-convict. And in that instant, the spell shattered. The hope evaporated. And the crowd's love began very fast to turn to rage. Then the auditor finished his long count and handed down the verdict Ponzi had spent all summer outrunning. The Securities Exchange Company was hopelessly, catastrophically broke. There were no coupons. There was no secret fortune. There was only a hole. Millions of dollars deep. On the 12th of August, 1920, Charles Ponzi surrendered to federal agents, and when the accountants tallied the wreckage, the numbers were staggering. In a few short months, he had taken in somewhere between $10 and $15 million. By some estimates, as much as 20 million from around 20,000 people. In the money of our own time, that is hundreds of millions of dollars. 6 separate banks were dragged down and destroyed alongside him. And behind those cold figures stood the real cost. Countless ordinary families, the barbers, the widows, the laborers who had believed, lost every cent they had scraped together in a lifetime. The hope Ponzi sold them turned, overnight, into ruin. He pleaded guilty to federal mail fraud and was handed 5 years. He served just 3.5 and walked out to find the state of Massachusetts waiting on the steps with larceny charges all its own. What followed was a legal circus that dragged on for years. Tried, freed, tried again, out on bail. And while he was free, the con man did the only thing he truly knew how to do. He started another con. This time the stage was Florida, land. He launched a company selling parcels of Florida real estate, sight unseen. There was just one catch. Much of the land was swamp, several feet underwater. It collapsed, of course, and brought him another arrest. Desperate now, he tried to slip out of the country disguised as a deckhand on a merchant ship. He was caught in New Orleans and hauled back to Massachusetts at last to serve 7 more years behind bars for his original crime. When those doors finally opened again in 1934, Ponzi was no longer America's problem to keep. He had never become a United States citizen. And so the country did the simplest thing of all. It put him on a ship and sent him back to Italy. He was 52. He was sailing home, empty-handed, to the country he had fled 31 years earlier, with $2.50 and a suitcase of dreams. Only now, the dreams were gone too. The circle had closed on nothing. Italy did not quite know what to do with its notorious son either. For a time, the government found him a role with its new national airline and posted him to manage a branch office far across the sea in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. But then the Second World War swept in. The airline folded, and that last thin thread of Ponzi's fortune snapped with it. He was left utterly alone, in a foreign land, growing old, growing sick, with nothing left to his name. His final years were spent in poverty, in a Rio slum. A stroke had left him half paralyzed, his eyesight failing. He scraped a few coins together teaching English and Italian to whoever would pay. The Wizard of School Street was, once again, what he had begun as, a poor man. On the 18th of January, 1949, Charles Ponzi died in the charity ward of a Rio de Janeiro hospital. He was 66 years old, and he left behind, in all the world, just enough money to pay for his own burial, around $75. But he gave one last interview before the end. Was it worth it? The reporter asked. All of it? And Ponzi, unrepentant to his very last breath, only smiled. Even if those people never got a single cent back, he said, it was cheap at the price. Without malice, he said, I had given them the best show that was ever staged in their territory since the landing of the Pilgrims. It was easily worth $15 million just to watch. And there, right there, is the strange, dark magic of Charles Ponzi. He died with $75 to his name. But he never really died at all, because he left something behind him. Not a fortune, a blueprint, a recipe so simple a child could follow it, and so deadly, it has never stopped killing. Rob Peter to pay Paul. Promise the impossible. Pay the first investor with the money of the second, and keep the show running as long as the crowd keeps coming through the door. We took that blueprint and gave it his name, a Ponzi scheme. And in the century since School Street, it has never once gone out of business. Every single decade throws up a new wizard with a new and dazzling story, and the very same rusted machine humming away underneath it. 88 years after Ponzi handed out his coffee and donuts, a soft-spoken New Yorker named Bernie Madoff would run the exact same con for $65 billion. The costume changes with the century. The trick never does. Not one. Because Ponzi was never really selling coupons, or stamps, or Florida swampland. He was selling the one thing that never ever goes out of demand. The promise that you, and only you, have found the secret shortcut. That the ordinary boring rules of money, slow, patient, 5% a year money, do not apply to someone as clever as you. As long as human beings ache to believe that, the machine Ponzi named will always find its next operator and its next crowd. But here is the final, humbling twist. Charles Ponzi did not actually invent that machine. He only lent it his name. The dream of the effortless fortune and the brutal crash that always follows it is far, far older than one small man in a straw hat. To find where this madness truly begins, we travel back another 2 centuries, to the year 1720, to an entire nation driven collectively insane by a single glittering promise, and then brought crashing to its knees when that promise burst. Next time, on The Great Frauds, one company vows to make all of England rich beyond its wildest dreams. Lords and servants and kings pour in their gold, and then it detonates and drags a whole country down with it. The South Sea Bubble. That is next time. If this story taught you something, follow the channel and stay for the fall.